Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. It's a beautiful summer day here in Sydney. I'm down here at Circular Quay, and I'm just going to head over there onto wharf number 6 to get out of this breeze, because it could cause some buffeting on the mic and some interference. So while I would have loved to have gone for a bit of a walk along this promenade here, all the way down to the international passenger terminal, I think it's probably going to be more prudent to get out of the wind and do a short walk and talk where we can do a book summary. And today's book summary that I'm going to step through is entitled The Social Animal. An interesting title, The Social Animal, by David Brooks. And David talks here about the fact that schools, when we start off as young students going to school, that schools ask students to be good at a range of subjects. So hopefully we're being taught to be generalists, but when you sit and look at it and analyse it a little deeper, what happens is that life asks people to find one passion that they will follow forever and be good at. So one or two callings in our life is what we're all about. So I guess the big trick is trying to work out what that calling is and what we're going to do with the time that we have to have the greatest impact on the world and to the people around us. So let's head off down here to wharf number 6 and continue unravelling this book summary. And the author reminds us here that the unconscious mind guides much of our behaviour. A lot of people don't realise it. They think that they're consciously in charge and doing everything that they need to do. But the author just continues here to enlighten us and to remind us that it's the unconscious mind, the part of the brain that covers 95% of all the processing, is what's in charge of what we do. Because a lot of what we do is automatic, it's automated response, and it's the unconscious mind that leads us and guides us in terms of our responses and our reactions, which, as we said and alluded to, are mostly automatic. But it's our conscious mind that loads up and instructs our unconscious mind in terms of what it needs to do. So the first part of this book is to just alert us to the fact that we've got a conscious and an unconscious part of the brain that influences everything. So the author then moves on to remind us that every single action that we take radiates and influences others in ways that are known and in ways that may never be known to us. But that influence, that radiation, those acts, that behaviour, that action that we take that radiates, can have a positive or a negative influence. Now be mindful of that whatever you're doing is impacting somebody else or impacting lots of other people in ways that you may never have dreamt of or considered. So let's move on and find out a little bit more about this book. So the first key point to come out of this book is that learning takes repetition, exploration, and connection. So when you're dealing with children, employees, partners, peers, work peers, parents, relatives. What we need to understand is that there are things that we do when we're connecting with them and when we're engaging with them that has an influence. So the author suggests that what we should be doing or considering doing is acknowledging hard work wherever we can over natural ability. Because lots of people have natural abilities to do things. But if you're focusing on that natural ability, then what you'll do is you're losing out on an opportunity to help shape a person's actions and work ethic. And with children in general, like not all of us are good at everything. So sometimes it's hard to find natural abilities in all the people around us. But what we should be celebrating and rewarding, according to the author, is the hard work that people are doing, at least acknowledging that what somebody is doing is an effort, and acknowledging the effort, because the effort doesn't always lead to results. But if you're acknowledging effort, at least you're giving some feedback to help people to understand that what they're doing is getting noticed and to allow them to keep on going. Because whenever we fail, it just means that we've failed at that first or second attempt, or whichever attempt we're taking. It doesn't mean that we've failed overall, because sooner or later, if you stick to something and you keep on doing it, you're going to get better and better at it, and then sooner or later you're going to be successful at it. So what the author is teaching us here is that we need to be the voice of that future trial and error, and to ensure that people continue to try things, because we want to encourage people to continue to put into effort into the things that are important and the things that are useful. So the ideal process of learning is when you explore something, and as you repeatedly touch the subject, you connect it to the dots in life. So it's repetition when we're learning and doing that help us get better at what we do, and that repetition is what allows us to join the dots, according to the author. So let's move on to the next point from this book. And the next point is that the environment around us influences our behaviour, and we should use this to our advantage. So let's look at how we can use the environment around us to help us become better at what we do. And the way we do that is by trying to shape the environment that we have around us in terms of our friends, our family, who we socialise with, what we read, what we do, and where we hang out. Because all of these things are choices. So once again, the book talks about the importance of the environment, and especially for parents with young children. We all understand that the environment in which the children grow up in has a huge influence on what they learn, how they learn, how they feel. So each and every one of us in our work, that environment that we're in, that soup that we're part of, influences who we are and how we grow and develop. So let's go on to the third one here. The third one is, the author talks about the 7 structures of influence over our decisions. So our subconscious is able to influence, and the environment around us is able to influence the decisions we make without us even being aware of it. So that's the important thing. We are being influenced. You are being influenced. Our children, our families are all being influenced in ways that they're not even aware of by the environment around us. And the 7 influences are, in terms of our decisions, are priming, anchoring, framing, expectation, inertia, arousal, and loss aversion. So let's just do a bit deeper dive on each of these aspects, these influences, these unconscious structures that influence our decisions. So for those who are not aware, priming. The word priming means the use of leading words or phrases. So we in ourselves, whenever we describe things to ourselves or describe things to others, have some leading words that we use to get people ready to accept a message and to shape their perception and their view and the way they see things and the way we see things. So just be aware that people are priming us, we are priming us, the media is priming us, and just to understand that priming activity that is happening is influencing you in ways that you're not all that aware of. So become aware of priming, how other people are using priming to set you up to receive and to accept messages, perceptions, and their view of the world. The next word that the author talks about in terms of the unconscious structures is called framing. And framing is very similar in some ways to priming, in that it allows yourself or others to choose or impact the way things are presented, because the way things are presented will impact the way you see it and the way you think about it. So a lot of people, a lot of businesses, a lot of advertising agencies, marketing people spend a lot of time framing things so that they put it in a way, they present it in a way which you can readily accept and not even question, and not even know that it's being framed. funnily of all. The third point, the third unconscious structure that influence our decisions is called anchoring, where we're always comparing things to other things. We're comparing everything to a baseline that we know. And that baseline could be an experience, could be a price, could be an experience, could be an idea, could be a person, a celebrity, but we're always comparing something to something else. So always be careful how people frame things and prime you, because that framing and prime you could be building an anchor that you will use to compare and contrast the things that you're mulling over or trying to decide upon, and be tricked into making a decision which is not the right decision, but a decision that you've been shaped into or coerced into because of the clever use of anchoring. The fourth unconscious structure is called expectation. And expectations are created to allow us or to lead us into the anticipation of a certain outcome. It's also called the placebo effect, where you expect something to happen and you make it happen. The body responds to that expectation. So we set expectations for others, others set expectations for us, and we can also shape our own expectation of what we see in terms of our personal image, our self-image, and our goals and how we see the world. So be aware that expectations are constantly being shaped and presented, and you could be party to it or you could be a victim of it. So understand that these things are happening around us. Inertia is another unconscious structure, and it keeps us on repeat. And it keeps us on repeat in terms of doing things over and over and over again and not wishing to change. Because at the end of the day, changing creates energy. And most people are lazy and don't want to change and want to keep things the way they are, even if, this is the catch, even if the way they are does no longer serve them. So be aware that unconsciously we've got inertia, which is stopping us from growing and developing because we're lazy, because we've been victims of fear, uncertainty and doubt. We've got people around us, we've got the media, we've got lots of friends and family who are sowing seeds of fear, uncertainty and doubt into everyone around them so that they remain the same, so that they don't change, so that the family, the picture, the whole catastrophe remains as it always was and is not allowed to grow, develop and change and improve. So just be aware that there's inertia being pushed upon you, either subconsciously or through other people in terms of their views, that is trying to keep you in a status quo, trying to keep you in a particular social circle or a social orbit. And if it keeps you there and it serves you, then it's all good and well. But if it's keeping you there and not serving you, then it's not good and well, and you need to do something about it to change your station in life, change what you're doing, who you're hanging out with, what you're thinking about, what you're eating, what you're reading, and what you're planning. Number 6 is arousal. And arousal is what sparks desire. And we can use arousal to spark our desire, but arousal can also be used upon us, where advertising, where friends, family say things, do things that arouse our interest and keep us distracted from the things that we should be doing. Or the arousal could be used to our advantage, to get you to focus on a goal, to get you to do things that are going to enable you to grow and develop. So once again, arousal is an unconscious structure that influences our decisions. The important thing is to be aware of arousal, to leverage arousal, to minimize arousal for things which are not serving you, and to understand that there are people out there trying to arouse, distract us from being who we're meant to be, and to understand that it's up to you, it's up to your conscious mind to determine. And the last thing on this journey is understanding that we are all subject and influenced by loss aversion, because no one likes to lose, and people will do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. So lots of people out there are tricking us by playing with our minds and telling us that if we do A, B and C, we're going to lose X and Y. But nobody knows what A, B and C will lead to unless you try it. But just understand that in order to grow, you need to go. And in order to grow, you need to make changes, and those changes will cause potential pain, or at least get you thinking. Your self-talk will start telling you or trying to convince you about things that you may lose. And in order to not lose the status quo, sometimes people will hold on to things. And as I said before, if you're holding on to something and it's serving you, all good and well. But if you're holding on to something and it's not serving you, then you're better off losing it and not worrying about it, because when one door closes, another door opens. So that's about it. So we're at the end of this book summary. So the last point that the author makes is that our unconscious minds run these heuristics, these unconscious structures, while our conscious minds remain unaware of what is happening. So all of this stuff is happening below the surface. You're not even aware of it happening. So that's why it's important to read these book summaries and to learn these tricks because they're the sorts of things that are going to help you grow, develop, and become a better version of yourself. So I think that's about it. So let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I'm well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, and I look forward to catching up with you again later on with another book summary on Jim's 5am Club from a different destination with a different episode, and hopefully a message of empowerment to help us, lift us, to get us through the morning, through the day, and through the month of February. So take care, everybody. Yasas. Bye for now. And let's take some of the points from this wonderful book entitled The Social Animal from David Brooks, and learn how to use our unconscious mind, or at least be aware of what's happening at the unconscious level, so that we shape it where possible to serve us rather than to cause us pain, suffering and anguish. Take care, yasas, and we'll chat again. Bye for now.